Mulberry was cleaning their pellet in the clearing. Silverstar had stalled patrols for a meeting that hadn't yet started. Silverstar cleared her throat as she stepped forward, looking out across the clan. All cats old enough to run across the moors, gather here for a clan meeting. Finally, Mulberry stepped forward. She narrowed her eyes. RiverClan has gotten closer to the border yet again. Those fish breaths are encroaching onto our land further and further every day. Mulberry felt his fur bristle. Do they have no shame? They have killed J-Star, a cat dear to us all. And now they mean to take our home too! She sounded outraged. Stormstar shook out her fur, taking a breath. She composed herself. Rest assured, I have a plan. This war will end soon. I'll make sure of it. Get our border markers strong. Show them that their trespasses will not be tolerated in one clan. Stay strong. Clan dismissed. Mulberry's hackles remained up as they turned away. They wanted nothing to do with this fight. She followed Mulberrysong, tilting her head. A word? He glanced around. With me? There were no other cats. She nodded, sitting down. This war is becoming more and more dangerous every moon that goes by. And I need more information. Okay. He followed, sitting as well. What could he do? You're loyal to your clan? It was a silly question, of course, but she wanted to be sure. Of course! His ears perked. J-Star's death has all of us wishing for change. I'm just... His paw swept across the ground. The she-cat's voice dropped into a whisper, though her words were sharp, cutting through his words. Then you will help our clan. I need you to be our spy. What? He lowered his voice in turn. What? Why me? You're kind, she said simply. You'll be trusted more than any other cat here. And they'd never look past your efforts to befriend them. Mulberry shifted. Because he was kind, he was an ideal spy? I guess. Okay. She nodded, satisfied. Go on now. They wouldn't expect an intruder in broad daylight. Even if you're captured, they won't think you're a threat. Even if captured? The words repeated in his head. Did he really have more value trapped in RiverClan than in camp? Yes, Stormstar. I'll report back to you with what I find. Mulberry looked down at the rushing water. They'd expect him to cross the bridge, but this water was far too strong to cross. His only option was further down the stream. The water was much calmer here. He slipped into the water, visibly flinching at the feeling of it surrounding him. About halfway through, he started to duck under the river's weight. His long fur had pulled him down, something he didn't expect, having never swam before. He let out a yellow sound as his head fell under the water.
Honeybase was trying to just stretch his paws as he heard a sudden yelp coming from the river. Without a second thought, he ran up and dove into the waves, intent on saving that wet pile of fur drowning. Dragging Mulberry onto the shore, he didn't even realize what he had by his paws was a WindClan warrior. "Fish brain!" he exclaimed. "Don't you He blinked. That wasn't any cat he knew. Whoa, who are you?
His fur made a plop sound as he hit the shore. It took a moment to clear the water from his senses, before he could even see Honeyblaze looming over him.
Even soaked in river water, he started to smell the distinct scent of WindClan. His ears flattened. "You were spying on us!" With a lash of his tail, he stepped upon to Mulberry to keep him down.
No! He squirmed, lying. I didn't mean to slip into the river. I wasn't even... Why would I willingly put myself... He took a deep breath. RiverClan had killed J-Star. This was for his clan. He had no choice but to push through this. Even so, this cat seemed oddly familiar. Sorry.
"Save your petty words, Moorrunner," he hissed. "I'm taking you back to RiverClan, and I promise you it is in your best interest to come with me willingly." It was obvious Honeyblaze had the advantage, size alone.
He swallowed his doubt and nodded, slowly standing in hopes that Honeyblaze wouldn't knock him down again. He sat up and stiffened. What? Where? Who?
Passing through the camp and its guards, he hated how exposed the thinning numbers were to Mulberrysong. Get into the den. I will show you to Willowstar in the morning, he growled.
His paws carried him into the hole in the ground, even when his mind hesitated. Further away now, it was more evident how beat up the Tom was, with an overwhelming smell of herbs clung to his pelt. Honeyblaze, what's the story here? The Tom pondered curiously. No hostility in his voice, just confusion.
I fished this moor runner out of the river. I suspect he was trying to spy on us, had he not been so busy drowning.
He began to dry his very soaked pelt.
We do not need spectators. Get to your nests and rest. I will guard him tonight. He dismissed the gathering cats that were gawking like they had nothing better to do.
Stormstar would send a patrol to fetch him soon. Right? Right? Trying to get any kind of sleep, Mulberry padded to the corner of the den to try and get some sleep.
Night had taken a lot out of him, so Honeyblaze had accidentally fallen asleep on his post due to being overworked. Oh boy, hopefully nobody would notice him slacking off like this.
Mulberry slowly woke up, but quickly sat up when he realized he was in an unfamiliar den. It took a moment to recall the events of last night, though he was instantly distracted by the sleeping Tom nearby.
He was leaning against the cave wall, lightly snoring away.
It would be fairly easy to slip out, but man, this cat was so worn out. Had WindClan done this? Surely RiverClan was overworking themselves to threaten WindClan. Clearly. Willowstar padded into view, her presence demanding the attention of the WindClan cat. Mulberry sat with his head up, trying to feign confidence. Willowstar. She granted a disappointed gaze towards her deputy. The poor thing. He'd been overworked to bits, it seems. She'd have to take charge for now. Mulberrysong, is that correct? The scent of the moor is stark against the air. She spoke, her tone genuine.
He jumped suddenly, jolted awake by the sound of voices. Before he could try to lie his way out of this, he realized just how pointless it was. He was just glad the prisoner didn't escape.
That is correct. It was hard to look a leader in the eyes who had allowed her clan to kill the leader of another. There was no warmth in her gaze as she looked down to Mulberrysong. Her tired eyes spoke volumes of the past. What was it? 4 moons? Someone has informed me of the circumstances surrounding your imprisonment. Her voice was light, yet stern still. You do understand why we can't let you go, yes? Not particularly. His tail tapped against the ground. My intent was not to spy. The river pulled me away from my territory. But if RiverClan wishes to stay consistent, it would make sense for you to keep me here.
You've seen too much of our camp. He did not blatantly say, you've seen how little warriors we have left. But they all knew that's what he meant. That information cannot reach WindClan. He bared his teeth.
She glanced toward Honeyblaze, then back to Mulberrysong. Unfortunately, regardless of what led you here, that ultimately means you being here now makes you far more valuable to Stormstar. And who's to blame for that? His fur rose. Of course killing a leader would make WindClan furious and kill any cat that strayed close. He kept his mouth shut for the last part.
He hissed at that. There's fault on both sides. War's never one-sided. Honeyblaze lashed his tail wildly, before looking to Willowstar for guidance.
Attempting to rectify the unintended hostility between them, she softened her voice once more. Honeyblaze, was all she had to say.
Large Tom huffed before turning around on his heel. I'll find a warrior to guard him.
He mumbled something, turning his head away. Mulberrysong, she said in finality. I'm sorry. Like him, she decided to turn away. He fully turned his back towards the den exit. If he were to be attacked, it's not like he could prevent it anyway.
Leading a border patrol was a nice refresher to the fighting and figuring out the prisoner. They'd just mark the borders and head back. Dusty Wings slinked across the damp clearing, their paw steps light and near silent. The second the figures in the distance came into view, his fur rose sharply. WindClanners. The light brown she-cat's good eye turned to a slit once she caught the sight of the moor runners. The feline squinted her eyes, noticing the unfamiliar shapes in the far distance. Ugh. It wrinkled its nose, stepping forward a little. The scent of RiverClan hit instantly. Seeing the RiverClan cats approaching, her ears pinned against her head. "What are you doing here?" he hissed, claws extruding from his paws and digging into the floor. Too close. They were too close to RiverClan's side. "What we want," she hissed, moving closer. "We're in unclaimed territory," she hissed, technically truthfully. "Here to tell you not to fiddle in our business. J-Star wouldn't have died if it wasn't for you fish breaths. It's bad." "Get back to your side of the bridge," he growled lowly. "It does not need to be bloodshed if you just return without a fuss." How convenient for you to say after killing our leader. The way their scent carried over their border, the stench of rabbits overwhelming her senses, it disgusted her. Their claws dug into the ground to remain still. Maybe bloodshed is the only way. "We're not in your territory yet, and we'll place our paws here, with or without your approval," it hissed, unsheathing its claws. He bared his teeth. He didn't want to fight, but he would if he had to. "One last chance. Leave our land." A grimace slowly crept up onto Dusty Wing's face. This couldn't end well. Blackfoot sees the smaller cat behind Honey and runs over to knock them. She growled, "You're in no position to make orders, not after what you've done." He could not stand to stand still anymore. Milknose launched into the RiverClan cats with his claws out. At the first sign of aggression, he barreled forward, grabbing the first cat his teeth could reach. With the initiative of her clanmate, she rushed forward to lunge at Honeyblaze. It fell onto its side. He sank his claws into the fiery orange pelt before Goldfinch tore into his side, leaving him roaring with pain. She felt claws rake into her relentlessly. She let out a pained yowl. "You're going to regret this day," she hissed, throwing her side against Honeyblaze's, in hopes to knock him off her clanmate. Being knocked off, he hissed, trying to seem bigger to intimidate the other two cats. This wasn't an ideal fight. She moved to stand slightly in front of her injured companion. "Go help the others. I'll deal with this." It rolled onto its back. It slashed way too close to its attacker's neck. If it was a little closer, the strike could have been fatal. She hesitated, but turned to help the rest of her clanmates. He could feel the skin tearing slightly, though Ember's strike hit mostly fur. His eyes widened as he jumped back, temporarily dazed with shock. It waited for its opponent to attack, arching its back. Honeyblaze shook off the daze and charged forward, trying to duck under its paws to get to its vulnerable belly. The attack was unexpected, but it also saw it coming in a way. It jumped up, almost tumbling to the ground. Dusty Wing let out a snarl. If WindClanners were going to play dirty, then so be it. She'd never stoop down to their level. Not ever. They tried to make another slash, but pitifully missed, slipping more. It stepped closer to the cat and slashed their back, opening up a wound that looked like it was still healing. Swiping at his opponent's paws, he got a look at his clanmates losing. This was really not good. Yowling at the pain, Honeyblaze had left himself open to that nasty attack. She huffed, kicking Dusty Wing off with a slash to her belly. "All talk, huh?" They left out a painful yowl, falling onto the ground once more. Shaking her head, she tried to get as much damage in as possible. "Fuck's heart," he growled, face grimacing with pain as he lunged forward to strike Ember in the chest. It dug its claws into the wood of the bridge, trying not to falter. It snarled, wondering what to do next. Perhaps a swipe at their muzzle. It squeaked, unexpected. It hit the ground, but immediately got up. It jumped onto Honeyblaze, pinning him down. He attempted to bite into its shoulder, but was pinned instead. He felt paws weighing down on him heavy, and breath against his neck. This cat could end him if it wanted to, and he tried desperately to wriggle out of the grasp. It bent down. It could give a fatal bite right now, but would it? Its grip was strong, and heavy paws held the cat down. It hesitated. In that moment of hesitation, Honeyblaze burst out of the pin in a feat of strength. Seeing his clanmate's state, he yowled, "RiverClan, retreat!"
"So, what are you called?" He looked back. Her ears would perk up, finally hearing the cat's voice for the first time. I have it handled. I don't think I should tell you that, she'd mew, eyeing up the sad cat in the den. His ears perked as they caught a bit of the noise across camp. What's happened? I'm not sure, she'd mumble. She watched the clan limp back, and the scent was heavy. He stepped up a bit. I smell WindClan. Were they attacked? Whoa, get back in there, she'd hiss. He saw how hurt Honeyblaze was. He frowned. Like I said, I don't know what's happening. She looked back at her clan, trying to assess the situation. If my clan is hurt, I have a right to know, he hissed. How would I know about your clan? I've been here all day. She could feel her temper getting the better of her. She'd spin around to avoid the cat. She'd wait desperately for someone to fill her in. She was just as clueless as her prisoner. He could tell she was just as worried as he was. He sat down, quieting. She'd gulped nervously. Proudstep hadn't come back yet, and the clan was so quiet.
I'm going to relieve Honeywhisker of his shift. She's been watching him all day and night.
Honeyblaze, she'd mew.
Get some rest. I can take it from here. The Tom was but a husk of his usual self. He looked so exhausted, yet he wouldn't accept any refusal. She'd know that.
Her eyes would widen at his state. I guarded him. Okay. She'd trot away.
You did good, he mumbled, his paws heavy as he trotted to take her position. He barely even felt the rain battering his pelt.
His gaze softened when he saw the familiar Tom. You should come inside. Your rain will keep your wounds from closing.
He was too exhausted to think about how risky that was. Yeah, smart. He stifled a yawn.
He studied his pelt, not daring to touch it. You're awfully shredded. How many cats were there?
Honeyblaze opened his mouth to tell the other cat off, but that would take too much energy. More than us, he sighed. It almost broke my neck.
Emberstrike? His fur bristled. The only cat referred to as it. Why? He thought for a bit. The RiverClan patrol hadn't ventured into WindClan. That much he could smell.
Maybe. It was bright orange. He shook his head. It just attacked me on the bridge, when all I did was tell them all to back off from our border. He hissed, one of his wounds stinging.
He tried not to feel bad, but with an injured cat in front of him, it was hard not to. They hate you. His whiskers twitched. You killed J-Star.
J-Star slipped out of my paws. Honeyblaze's voice was a whisper. I tried to grab him, but he slipped. He fell into the gorge, and I couldn't jump after him without risking my own life. He seemed quite solemn about this.
His pupils narrowed. You pushed him! WindClan saw it. Stormstar had no choice but to become leader and wage war on RiverClan. You did this to yourselves. As he spoke, he realized how sorrowful Honeyblaze's eyes were.
I didn't push him. He slipped on the wet grass, and I wanted to jump after him. I probably would have if I wasn't so injured. He looked away. No day passes where I don't think about how everything would have been different if it was me who fell.
Anger shone through his eyes, but he said nothing. All of his anger had grown from the truth he was told, but Honeyblaze's truth dulled everything that he had been told. Mulberry wasn't even there. Mean to imply the clans are killing each other because of hearsay?
All he wished was to sleep, but he reminded himself that he was still technically guarding the prisoner. Nobody ever wants to be in the wrong, especially cross-clan.
Not when WindClan's leadership is a result of J-Star's death. They won't forget that easily. His tail tapped against the ground. He still didn't fully trust this Tom. Up until today, it had been instilled in his mind that he was to blame.
At this point, we have lost so many cats, and I'm sure WindClan has lost just as many. When will this carnage end? Will we fight until every last one of us is dead? He shook his head. It needs to end. His ears perked when he heard the yowls of shock and commotion outside the inn. What? He rose immediately, throwing caution to the wind. Come with me, he instructed, dashing out.
Willisfer's voice pierced through the dead atmosphere, seizing the attention of anyone in the surrounding area. It was a solemn wail, marking the death of another innocent clanmate. He studied the body. Is that a queen?
He stared at Swansong's blood-stained pelt. The smell of WindClan on her was unmistakable. The lack of fur in her claws indicated she went down without a fight. An ambush? What kind of cat would do this? He whispered.
Willistar refused to say anything other than what was necessary, so in a low voice she confirmed it. WindClan ambush? They really did it. They stooped this low. He didn't know what to think. All eyes were on the fallen queen, like they'd forgotten a WindClan cat was right there.
What happened with Eclipse Kit? He choked down his grief. The kit was too young to stay by itself, and with so little warriors left, all of them were needed for the battles.
He winced. Instinctually, he offered himself. I can look after the kit. I'll be in camp anyway.
What makes you think we would trust you? He hissed, suddenly reeling with rage. Your clan did this, he growled. Your clan killed a queen. Don't you dare think we'd ever let you around our kits.
He tensed, pupils turned to slits. He felt Honeyblaze's anger was misplaced, but it wasn't. Not with the scene playing out in front of them. He nodded simply and padded back to the prison.
Dirtclaw, escort the prisoner back to the prison.
He tested his hind leg momentarily before nodding. Let's go. He sighed and fell down into a rest.
He had thought long about what Mulberrysong had offered. They did not have any warriors to spare to look after Eclipse Kit, so it was their best bet to leave her with the prisoner, and only have one warrior to guard him.
Hello? His eyes widened at the kit. She sniffled, still trying to understand the loss of her mother.
He placed her down and gave the WindClan cat a stern look. I thought about what you said.
She huddled closer to Honeyblaze, never having seen Mulberrysong.
We don't have the warriors to spare to look after her. We barely have enough cats to hunt food and protect ourselves. He gave an almost dirty look to Mulberry. So I will entrust her to you.
He nodded simply. I no longer have quarrels with RiverClan. I think. After what I've seen. He looked down to the kit, laying and offering a paw to the kit to smell him.
It's okay, he reassured the kit, giving her a gentle nudge with his nose.
She looked up to the strange cat, and then back to the deputy, unsure, before sniffing the air. He didn't smell like RiverClan, like her mother, but she slowly inched closer. He licked the top of the kit's head. You're confused, I know. I'll stay with you. Who are you? She questioned, looking up. You're not Goosecall or Stoneface, she spoke. I'm Mulberrysong. You can call me Mulberry. Or just Berry. He chuckled.
He really needed sleep after all of this. He nodded, sighing as he padded out of the den.
His ears perked a little. Sounds like my mother's swan song, she purred, recognizing the other half of the WindClan cat's name. Yes, he purred. Get some sleep now. I won't leave. She looked at him for a moment, then around the den, noticing it wasn't as cozy as her nest in the nursery. Here? But it's not cozy, she complained, shifting her way closer to him. Nuzzle into my fur if you need. It's better in here away from the rain. She blinked and snuggled closer, closing her teary eyes as she still mourned her mother. Mulberrysong woke, shifting away from the kit as to not wake her. He grabbed some of the damp grass and reeds inside the den, binding them together to make a makeshift moss ball. This looked familiar. He placed down the toy. She woke, looking up to Mulberry, and then outside of the weird den, then back to him. Kinda. I didn't get to play much moss ball since Moonkit joined StarClan, she quietly spoke. If you bat it around in here, it'll bounce off the walls. Try to catch it. He nodded, nudging it to her. She looked to it and batted at it, watching it roll. She tried to pounce, but stumbled, tripping over her paws. You got it! Get back up! He cheered. She huffed, shaking her pelt, looking to see where the ball had gone. His tail tip flicked in entertainment as he watched her. She ran and pounced on it, before batting it in the air. This kit, still full of joy after losing so much, had been orphaned by WindClan. His clan. She accidentally sent the ball out, just on the lip of the hill that led into the den. He sank his claws into the dirt, thinking about it. This war had victims that never once unsheathed a claw. He swallowed. This war ends now. I need to talk to Willow Star. His tail flicked. Where do you think you're going? Eclipse Kit pawed at the ball, stopping and looking at Mulberry and the other cats. Right. Duskflower? Go get her. Let's see what this outsider has to say. On it. Her eyes brightened, seeing Stonefor with the fish. Ooh, fish! She exclaimed, jumping and forgetting about the grass ball. It's for, Dirtclaw. He smiled at the kit. How are you? With a stern look at Mulberry, he held back a hiss, but Eclipse Kit distracted him. No, the little one can have it. I'll eat later. She frowned, saddened. She loved fish, looking to Stoneface. I miss one song, she stated. And my nest in the nursery. She then purred, going to the fish. My eyes were kept on Mulberrysong before making room for Willistar. They wish to speak to you. The grey she-cat swerved to look, eyeing Mulberrysong blankly from the tip of his ears down to the birth of his paws. She silently sat down, her expression blank. Can we talk somewhere a bit quieter? With Honey, please, too. Of course, she nodded. I was thinking the same. He dipped his head. I've seen enough damage to RiverClan. This war needs to end now. Willistar had gotten used to seeing Mulberrysong, strangely enough. Seeing their ranks so shaved, she could hardly see him as a threat anymore. What are you suggesting we do?
Honeyblaze had been told they wanted to speak with him. He remained silent to see what it was they wanted to discuss.
They took a deep breath, knowing how deeply they were betraying their clan by daring to speak the words. WindClan is only starting border fights, but I know for a fact they would stray further, just to remind RiverClan about J-Star. His whiskers twitched. You need to patrol closer to camp.
We can't just let them invade our territory, he protested, his fur standing up. What in StarClan was this WindClan cat thinking, suggesting this?
Honeyblaze, wait. She flicked her tail. It's only for a few sunrises, until WindClan attacks again. The further into RiverClan territory the battle is, the more advantage you have. WindClan is fast, very fast, but their blows are weak, and you saw how I sank in the river. If they try to kill any of your warriors, have them drag them into the streams. They'll forfeit when they realize the risk of drowning.
He remained silent for a moment, thinking. It wasn't a bad plan, but it was risky.
It was ironic. If they were on the opposing side, they'd argue it was dirty tactics, but they needed to cinch any opportunity they could. Badly. WindClan isn't quick to retreat, but if we can get them at a stalemate just long enough to explain what really happened at the gorge, they may be willing to talk. And if not, now you know how to beat them, and don't let them forget that.
We're putting a lot of trust into a maybe, he said, then looked to Willistar. At the end of the day, it was her call.
He felt his heart nearly trying to escape his chest. It's the only option you have. With everything she knew, she came to a decision. Stormstar's pride will be her downfall. Willistar nodded. Mulberrysong had her at the mention of diplomacy. He nodded. If I take part in the fight, WindClan will surely kill me. I don't have the ability to swim like RiverClan. But if things go bad, I will fight.
He nodded to the leader. Any decision Willowstar made was one he would follow.
I'm putting my full trust in you, Mulberrysong. Don't make me regret it. He dipped his head.
I'll gather some warriors for patrol, then, he said simply.
He followed. He watched. Honeyblaze was making a huge patrol, almost as bait. This has to work.
Follow me, RiverClan. He looked to Willowstar.
He waited for them to leave, then followed far behind.
They were perfectly hidden for the ambush. And there the WindClan cats came.
just like Mulberry predicted. Alright, WindClan. Remember, make every cat in the Starkland Forsaken territory feel our wrath. We will tear them apart, avenge J-Star, and bring Mulberrysong home. And... she turned. Wait, quiet. In a usually lively land, all that the forest offered was silence. Something was wrong. Once Stormstar stepped closer, he gave the signal. Attack! He roared, jumping right onto the leader of WindClan. Cinching the opportunity, Willowstar landed a lightning-fast strike onto Stormstar, the breadth of her claws raking down the she-cat's face. He pinned her down with heavy paws. You will terrorize our clan no longer, he growled. Stormstar let out a horrid screech as claws met her fur. Willowstar! She howled, swiping claws blindly at any surrounding fur they'd catch. You killed J-Star! She snarled as her gaze met Honeyblaze. Get it under your pelt, Stormstar, she yowled in pain, her fangs finding purchase on Stormstar's flank, and digging in with all of her strength. We never intended to be your enemy. And yet still, you intend to bloody your claws. You swore violence on your clan by letting your murderous deputy remain anywhere near this forest. Stormstar twisted, sinking her claws into Honeyblaze's mane and pulling him down just enough for her to slip out of Willowstar's grasp. His leader spoke sense in a time where Honeyblaze's mind was filled with only anguish. He intended to rake his claws across her flank when he spotted a clanmate that needed aid.
Heavenclaw, are you alright? Mulberrysong? They spat. What are you doing? Yeah, blood dripping from her side. He bared his teeth, turning away. She then spun around. Wait! Mulberry stepped in front of her.
You'll learn to attack my clan, he hissed, dragging him back to the shore when he felt the other cat was scared enough. He coughed water, but stood wobbly, but alive. He dropped the warrior with a deep growl. Run back to your moor, rabbit heart.
She breathed a sigh of relief as her clanmate was dragged back to safety, before turning around to Mulberrysong. What are you doing? Stormstar snapped. Step a paw closer and the rest of your warriors will end up in the river, he yowled. Tell them the truth. Call off your warriors and tell them RiverClan didn't kill J-Star. Stormstar, please, this isn't right. We'll all die like this, she wailed.
Want another bath? He grimaced, ready to bring Owl Mask back to the verge of drowning once more.
She stepped back, mouth agape. My warriors? You forget yourself, Mulberrysong. She trailed off, searching for words. They've caused us so much pain. It was an accident, he hissed. You've wiped out half of their clan, and WindClan is dwindling. How much more blood do you want spilled on J-Star's name? Stormstar was strong in her resolve, bunching up her muscles. Enough to rid the forest of traitors like you, she leapt, pinning Mulberrysong.
He grinned almost sadistically at Owlnose before whipping around and throwing himself towards Stormstar, grabbing her by the neck and launching her into the river, yet diving right after her. He pressed her down firmly with both paws, watching the bubbles come up from her maw before letting her come up for a breath. Call off your warriors.
She bucks both cats off violently, stumbling away. Stormstar! She wails out, limping and injured. She struggled to stay up, her thick fur dragging her down. You! She spat out water, eyes wide. Tell them! He snarled.
He allowed her to hold onto his pelt, almost to safety, before he himself dove under the water, taking her down with him, letting the current pull and push against their bodies before he let himself float back to the surface.
His gaze turned to Mulberrysong. Tell us what? He snarled in question. Stop, please! The leader sputtered and coughed. Fine, get me out! He padded back to make room for Stormstar and Honeyblaze.
That was all he needed to hear, so he dragged her back to the shore, roughly dropping her once they left the river.
Stormstar, what is he talking about? Blazer's whines, calming down somewhat now that her leader wasn't on the edge of death anymore. She took a few moments to catch her breath before speaking up. RiverClan didn't kill J-Star. I thought they had, but once I thought about it, it was too late, Stormstar rasped. It was an accident. Her voice shook. This all could have been avoided. So all this bloodshed, all this death. Hillside's ears rung. She stumbled to her paws, panting heavily. My daughter died for a lie!
He fell into the gorge. Nobody could have prevented it, he called, his voice echoing through the clearing. Let's end this bloodshed. We have all lost too much.
Get out of our territory, Mulberry snarled, not realizing he had said our. Ballista joined Honeyblaze at the flank. The cost of this fight, it was far too great. The beginning of this, it was all because they had left Stormstar with a claw length, and she took 100. So, the one who had technically dealt the killing blow to her kin was her own leader. She looked up at Mulberrysong, disgusted. I hope you rot.
He snapped his teeth at her. Run! He growled.
Hillside stumbled over her later, but took a last look to Mulberrysong. Her grief was overwhelming, knowing her daughter died for nothing but a lie. He nodded to the deputy. WindClan, retreat. Go home, young one, she licked between the she-cat's ears. Peace. Budbloom was barely older than an apprentice. He winced. She brushed slightly against the leader in a comforting gesture before dipping her head to Mulberrysong. I'm glad you found where you belong. His whiskers twitched. She raced away under the cover of night.
He exchanged a glance with Willowstar. Were they thinking the same thing? He looked back to Mulberrysong.
I guess that's my cue. He lifted a paw, hesitant to leave. Willowstar returned a knowing glance towards Honeyblaze. He truly did know her all too well. Mulberrysong, wait. Neither clan benefited from the conflict stretching on through this long. She nodded. This victory, we have you to thank for it too. He swallowed. Any warrior would have tried to stop a war. You didn't deserve what you lost. She gestured her nose towards Mulberrysong's shoulder. If you'd like someplace to call home. He nervously flicked his tail. I wouldn't need to learn how to swim, right? Granting a chuckle, she gave a sideways glance. I'm sure Honeyblaze would love to oversee that. Any other time, Proudstep would have had its doubts. But now, Mulberrysong helped them, helped end all of this. If RiverClan was where he wanted to stay, RiverClan is what he'd become.
He purred quietly. I would. Don't worry, I'm a good teacher.
Come on, let's go home. He looked at Honeyblaze with silent concern. Yeah, sure.